Get on here and let everybody know the updates, what's going on. It's been a crazy couple weeks, y'all. I want to let y'all know that I have not stopped my fight. You know, it's not because I'm stopping with it or not going to refile it or anything like that. It's just a lot going on behind closed doors. Hey, we got to step back and play chess, not checkers. So.
Silence was more powerful than 1,000 voices in a courtroom, which was a pressure cooker, where the walls seemed to reverberate with each breath, where the prospect of a single syllable has the power to permanently change lives and destroy reputations.
Wholeheartedly that Jesus your father. I really do. And if it's not, why you can't prove me wrong? Like, it's not as far as a proving me wrong thing. It's go to the courtroom and basically do what everybody else would have to do. Like, it's not, you don't have to prove me wrong. I just want the truth. Honestly, I can take it. No, I can take, if I'm embarrassed at the end of the day, I can take that. I really can. I've been through a lot, seeing a lot. I can take me being embarrassed. Like, just can't take nobody not saying nothing. Like, you know, it's not fair. I was 7. My mom had to sit down with me. I guess she thought I was old enough to know now, and she been saying Sean Carter, that's what she was calling him at first before she was calling Jay-Z, and I really didn't know who that was because I was young, and, you know, had my little brother, and I really wasn't worrying about it. She was saying it a lot, but I really just was going along with the person I was just seeing, like the person I looked at who was taking care of me at that time. I really wasn't really trying to understand what my mom was talking about, but she constantly put it in my head like, son, it's not your father, and I really want you to know it is. This person is your father, and I just want you to know. And she continued to tell me that over the years and over the years and over the years, even until I was grown. He never tried to contact me in any type of way, and that's all I'm asking is, like, 'cause I honestly really want the case to be over with. Like, I've been going through, just like I said, a lot, and as I said, I'm not chasing nobody. I'm not trying to do this to make somebody seem like a bad person, a bad father. I'm not trying to make nobody seem like a bad person or nothing. I'm just really coming out here for the truth. I don't want no money or anything. I wasn't looking for none of that. I just want to know the truth. And if I can't go to the courts and get the truth, like, what is it really? Why you? What is it? I just really want it over. It's something that's really affecting my life, and I just want it over with. I work every day. I also have my own kids to take care of. So it's like, it's been a journey for me, and it's just like, you know, I just got so much on my name right now. I never ask for money. I don't do interviews just saying, hey, Jay-Z, give me your money, or I'm coming at the Jay-Z for his money. I never did that. I'm not that type of person. I work for everything. Next is, I'm just trying to basically make sure no other kids or nobody else in the world has to go through this. Basically, don't feel afraid to go to court and see if a person is your biological parents. You know, so many people are scared, and this is a big thing in the world. A lot of people don't have their fathers because they scared to go out and search for them, and sometimes it only take a little search. You know, go search, and if it's wrong, we're adults. Well, most of us adults, even for the teenagers, this shows this being a role model for them, showing you can't go in the courtroom, and if you're doing everything correctly, you should be able to just get treated as equal as the other person. I've always been a person that I never hate anyone. I never, you know, I don't walk around with hate for a person. So I try to teach my kids that just be the best that you can be. So that's just a motto I go off. I would never hate Jay-Z. No, it was never that type thing. You know, I respect him for everything he did. And as I said, I've been going through a whole lot through these years because this case, like me, my mom, my godmom, we didn't see the words. We didn't have people, you know, slander my name. Like, you want Jay-Z money. And I hear it.
Sean Carter, popularly known as Jay-Z, was seated at the center of it all. His name had long been associated with strength, influence, and unchallenged dominance. But none of that mattered today. His legacy, his empire, his billions. The delicate thread of truth that was about to be exposed held them all in sway. The judge rearranged the pile of papers in front of him, his face blank and his voice controlled. He was aware of the seriousness of what he was going to say. The space itself appeared to sag inward. All eyes were fixed on his lips as they awaited the decision that would either validate or dispel years of conjecture. Pens jammed against notepads, fingers twitching. Reporters waited poised to start a media frenzy as soon as the judge's words were said. Attorneys muttered uneasily. Outside the courthouse, supporters pushed up against barricades, hoping to see.
I don't know what it is between Nicki Minaj. I know that she said something about the son, Jay-Z's son.
Yeah, but he just dropped that lawsuit.
Or she did.
You know, but he said he's still gonna file. I don't know. I don't think that's his son.
I do.
You do?
Hmm.
Why do you say that?
I don't think Jay-Z would offer him no money at all if it wasn't his son.
I don't think he offered him
Yeah,
money.
he offered him money.
Really?
Man.
See, but sometimes, listen, you gotta understand. You've never been sued, have you?
No.
I've been sued multiple times. Like, you reach a point where financially it makes sense to settle, right? Like, I had a lawsuit where she wanted like $600,000. It was like a former employee that was just came up with a whole bullshit, accusation that had nothing to do with me, and blah blah blah. It was just a whole bullshit situation, and ultimately, we got to the point where we spent about $75,000 already in legal fees, and she ultimately said, "I'll take $75,000 to settle." So it was going to be like, all right, we've already spent $75,000. If we go to court, I'm going to spend probably another $300,000, and I could probably win because there's really nothing here. But do I want to? Once I spend the $300,000, I can't sue her.
Yeah, and even if you won, you still lost.
I still lost.
Yeah.
I won, but I've just spent $400,000, right? So do I want to just back up out of it with $75,000, or do I want to spend $400,000 to make a point? I don't have $400,000 to make a point. Jay got $400,000 to make a point.
Let me ask you a question though. If you pop somebody's mom, pop the ladies, would you take the test?
What do you mean?
So say it's a kid like, yo, I think you might be my dad. You pop the mom, would you take? I'm asking you, would you take the test?
Well, the problem with this story is that they're saying the mom was underage.
I'm saying, but besides all I'm saying, it might be your son. But that part, like, all right, the mom of the age.
The underage part makes it all very dicey. See what I'm saying? Like,
so past the fact that might be your son.
What do you mean?
Like, so if it might be your son, like, because the mom was underage, you wouldn't want to find out.
I mean, if it's going to ruin your whole life.
I don't think it'll ruin his whole life.
You made a very bad decision 30 years ago.
But your son? So you see, my thing is this, I'm not running from, if it's my son, I want to know.
Yeah, listen, I get it, right? And I have kids as
If
well.
If I got $1 billion, I'm not.
I have kids as well, and I think it's a very hard choice because it's and the mom is dead at this point.
Yeah,
so, but then again,
it's not hard for me.
If Jay takes that DNA test and it proves to be positive, he's gonna be Jay the pedophile, right?
But don't your kids come before you? They're supposed to.
They're supposed to.
So imagine you had a kid out here, the mom died when he was about 10, 11 years old. He's been out here by himself, right? Look, would you care about your image more than a possible seed that's yours?
I think Jay cares about his image.
Of course you got me saying, but most men,
yeah.
I don't think, if you take 100 men, I think 50-50, it'd be 50-50.
No, man.
Especially if you already 50-something years old. It ain't like you 10, 20.
It's Jay-Z. He's married to Beyonce. He's got a huge company. He's got, that NFL deal will go away just like that. I mean, everything will go away. Everything will go away. I mean, he'd still be rich as hell, but...
Waves that echoed through the thick glass of the courthouse. The entire world waited. The judge then declared in a voice that was both definitive and inevitable. The paternity test findings were official. Their DNA matched. The proof was indisputable. This one moment was a culmination of all the rumors, whispers, and denials. The court made a declaration that Jay-Z had adamantly denied for years, but that many had long assumed. His biological son was named Rymir. The room exploded. The air was filled with gasps, a symphony of confirmation and incredulity clashing simultaneously. With their cameras flashing and their pens flying, reporters rushed to document the spectacle. As headlines were created in real time, the air was filled with the sound of frantic typing. The energy erupted outside. The words spread like wildfire among the audience as the cries became into screams and the whispers into shouts.
S was because he was married to Beyonce.
I don't think that's true.
No?
No. Because before he was getting married to Beyonce, he was popping already.
That's true, but he got more popping with Beyonce.
But I can see why 50 Cent would say that. You know what I mean? Like, I can understand 50 Cent saying that. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, Jay-Z, even if he might steal your songs, he might do all that, but Jay-Z is a rapping ass person. Like, I mean, he got drive. And he's smart.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So like he's gonna bust a move out. I think it helped both of them being together. I think it helped both of them. It made both of them. You know what I mean? So like 50 Cent supposed to say that though. Like, I mean,
well, yeah, I mean 50 Cent, he kind of started his career dissing Jay-Z.
Yeah, I remember. I was in New York when that song first came out. I was in New York and that shit came out. I was like, damn, what the fuck is this? I said, he got bought. He dissed. I was like, he dissed him? Or was it Fat Joe? It was a Big Pun, I think. It was a Big Pun.
No, I mean, How to Rob dissed everybody.
Yeah, but I remember one person he dissed, like, I think it was Big Pun or Fat Joe or somebody. I'm like, dang,
it was Big Pun. He said, I'm Rob Pun without a gun. Grab his piece and run.
Yeah,
You're waiting for 100 pounds. They're going to catch me, son.
Yeah.
That shit was catchy to come on like that. But 50 Cent got one song that he got that's like one of my favorite all-time songs called Many Men. That Many Men song, that shit like that. I played Many Men so much, my son was too little to really be able to talk, but he knew how to sing Many Men song. That's how much I played it. He knew every word to Many Men. And Akon unlocked up before he could even really could talk. You know what I mean?
Well, you got offered to be on Piers Morgan's show.
Yeah.
When they were talking about Diddy, but you actually turned him down.
I turned him down.
And I've done Piers Morgan, I don't know, like 4 or 5 times now.
I just feel like I didn't want to go in there talking about Diddy because I don't know Diddy personally, and I was like, man. But that's my first. I just did what the first thing came to my mind. Like, no, I don't even know Diddy. What I'm gonna say? Like, so whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
but the fact that they even knew me, I'm like, y'all know me on the show.
They probably watch. Well, they watch Flat TV, so they probably see you on my show. So I mean, that's probably how it happened. A lot of people on my show.
But did you see? I think the girl like Tasha K. She had a joint Jay-Z son on there.
Oh, his alleged son?
No. If you talk to him personally, that's his son.
You think that's his son?
Yeah. You know what I think his son? First of all, Jay-Z offered him money. At first, he offered him bread, like, and everything, but his aunt, this is like his caretaker didn't like approve of it. She said no. Jay-Z got a lien on her house, all type of shit that was going on. Yeah, the lady put up paperwork and everything with his name on it and all that. I mean, but young boy's so thorough though. He just want a dad. He not trying to get no money. He not trying to do none of that. I mean, that's why. So I told him when he called me 2 years ago, I said, listen, I don't want to be the one to tell your story because they're gonna think I'm trying to catch rep off of it. So let me let you tell your story somewhere else first. I mean, then I can talk about it. But he called me like 2 years ago, telling me like, I said, oh, young boy. He's like, I just want a dad. I don't want no money. I'm already 18. I think he was like 20 something at the time. But something happened to him, and I was like, yo, that sounds kind of weird. He said he was coming out from work, going to work, and there was a gun in his car. Like when he opened the door, he seen the gun. He said he went to go call his man, like, yo, did you leave a gun in my car? His man's like, no. He said, why you on the phone talking to his man? The cops pull up and lock him up. He said, he's telling the cops, no, that's not my gun. He's like, so he went in the building he was in, and they seen somebody pulled up and put the guns in his car.
Oh.
And pulled off. I said, bro, I don't know nobody in the hood that got guns to just waste like that to do that. I don't know what. He's like, yeah, so like Jay-Z had a gag order against him, like trying to get a gag order and trying to. And my thing is, if this not my son, I'll just take a test, get over it.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that you did dodge it and whatever, to me, I don't know. I think his mom was underage or something when he was born, so I think that's probably. Oh. Yeah, I think that's probably part of it.
Yeah.
But like I said again, it's not the same as now.
Is his mom still alive?
No, she died.
Huh.
She was 15 when she had him.
Oh. How old was Jay?
Like 20 something, I guess.
Oh.
Like 20, probably early 20, like 24.
Well, we don't know if it's true. This is just.
No, but I'm saying he took the deal.
Social media sites were up and running in a matter of seconds. Hashtag soared, and everyone on the planet watched. However, the judge, the attorneys, and even Rymir were not the center of attention in the courtroom. Jay-Z was mentioned. He had been the master of control for decades. He was in charge of the music business, stories, his image, his brand, and all he did. But that control was broken in that one instant when the indisputable truth was right in front of him. It seemed subtle at first. His eyes widened, his hands tightened, and his jaw twitched slightly. Then, however, the poise fell away entirely. As though he couldn't believe what he had just heard, Jay-Z muttered under his breath and furiously shook his head in a desperate attempt to soothe him. His attorneys leaned in and whispered, but to no avail. His voice increased, his body stiffened, and he smacked his hand down hard on the table, making a resounding bang.
He's the son of Jay-Z's, making more headlines than ever. Rymir Satterthwaite's been trading legal traps with the Rock Nation founder, with details spilling out across court docs surrounding his allegations. Here's everything we know about the person suing a billionaire media mogul. For one, Rymir's lawsuit alleges Jay's ignored repeated calls for a paternity test. Per Rymir and his godmother's legal filings, Rymir's mother Wanda allegedly engaging in a brief romance with a pre-famed Jay, who allegedly fathered Rymir with, at the time, a 16-year-old Wanda, who has since died. Rymir's team accusing Jay of tampering with legal proceedings, misusing his high-profile influence with public officials, along with claiming Jay's never outright denied he's Rymir's biological father. Meanwhile, Jay's new filing contends Rymir's lawsuit's just the latest in decades-long harassment. Inside the June 16th court docs obtained by E! News, Jay's attorney said the fabricated allegations and claims have been addressed and rejected in multiple multiple other courts. Jay's team also saying they attempted contact with Rymir's godmother and co-plaintiff, but she hung up after they called to request more time to prepare their response. E! News has reached out to both Jay-Z and Rymir for comment, but has not yet heard back.
To Jay-Z and Diddy in her response?
Yeah, this is sort of like, if a child asks you for something and you're trying to like teach them a lesson, you say, no, not right now. Go be good for a little while, then come back and ask me again. That is almost exactly what Judge Annalisa Torres did here. She wanted to send a message directly to Alex Spiro, who is obviously one of the most prolific attorneys in the country right now. I've known him for 20 years. He started as a DA in Manhattan. I knew him as a DA in Manhattan. I had cases against him as a DA in Manhattan. And he's gone on to do incredible things. But he has a very specific style. And there's a lot of people who don't like that style. And Judge Torres is one of them. He's now twice kind of taken the reins and tried to take control of the narrative of cases by putting on sort of these preemptive press conferences. He did it with Mayor Adams, and he did it now with Jay-Z, where he goes to the press and essentially puts on a PowerPoint and says, hey, this is why I think this case is garbage. This is all the inconsistencies. This is where this case fails. But it's obviously from his point of view. And so the judge doesn't like that. The other side of that, especially as for me as a defense attorney, is, well, that's what the DAs do every time they make a big arrest. That's what the federal prosecutors do every time they make a big arrest. They go in front of the camera and they put on this sort of dog and pony show press conference to like tell the nation why this is such a just arrest, why this is such a just prosecution, and to try to get public opinion behind them as they move forward in the case. It's really Alex Spiro doing the exact opposite thing to help his client, but the judge really didn't like it. And so all of that is to say that this ruling to me is specifically directed at Alex Spiro, saying, I don't like what you're doing. I don't like all the motions you're filing. I don't like how you're going about handling this case. And if you continue to do it...
The world saw the unstoppable billionaire lose control for the first time in years through the quiet chamber. In front of the world, the guy who had negotiated billion-dollar agreements, who had remained unflinching in the face of industrial conflicts, and who had always exuded unwavering composure, was suddenly coming apart. Anger, incredulity, and dread caused his face to flush. It was all captured on camera. Every glimmer of feeling, every rift in his renowned poise. The rich icon had vanished. This man was exposed, stripped bare, and forced to confront a truth he had long suppressed. Rymir sat still across the courtroom, staring at Jay-Z. It was the moment he had battled for, the moment he had repeatedly been denied. He had been disregarded for years, written off as an opportunist, and charged with seeking wealth or notoriety. But now he was justified by the truth. However, the triumph was not a pleasant one. His expression was not one of victory. Rather, it represented years of pain, years of absence, and years of unanswered questions. He was validated by the DNA test, but was never able to provide him with the father he had been longing for. There was too much tension in the room. Calling for order, the judge struck his...
Yes. So I wouldn't have expected it to be granted anyway. So the second possibility is that Quinn Emanuel just decided it's not the best motion. It's not our best. We have a separate motion to dismiss the complaint against our client. That's the motion that we want to see through. That's the motion we want the judge to focus on. We want her to focus on the merits and dismiss the claims against our client. We don't care about the sanctions stuff. We're going to get it go. And my third theory, which I have no basis for other than sheer speculation, I want to say that up front, is that there's some kind of deal here between the lawyers. The lawyers have accused each other, right? Busby's accused Quinn Emanuel of going after his clients and trying to get them to bring malpractice cases. Quinn Emanuel's gone after Busby and accused him of trying to drum up clients to bring claims against Combs and against Jay-Z. And maybe the attorneys have reached some sort of understanding about the ground rules. Maybe not, but maybe they have, and letting this motion go is part of that understanding. That would be my third possible reason.
Yeah, and I know you mentioned that it's speculation, but I think by you kind of explaining that, I feel like that might also be very plausible. I want to go back to what you said during kind of your second explanation, where, I'm sure Jay-Z, from his side, he probably wants this lawsuit just to be, or this complaint to be dismissed, or not even amended in the first place, made in the first place. Obviously, nothing goes away in the blink of an eye, excuse me. But in your opinion, watching all of this legal back and forth that's been unfolding these past few months, do you think there is enough to dismiss, or do you think at a point this will even get litigated?
I think it's going to get litigated. If I had to guess, I haven't really studied the complaint against the motion to dismiss, so I don't have a advanced opinion about it. But my reaction to it is that the complaint accuses him of some very bad stuff, and that ought to be enough to move the case forward. That's my guess. Now, remember, at the outset of these litigations, we go through kind of a honing phase where the dispute is sort of narrowed down to certain parties and certain claims. And sometimes the motion to dismiss doesn't get rid of the case entirely, but it gets rid of some of the claims, or it gets rid of some of the parties. I see today, by way of example, there's a brand new filing dismissing defendant Bad Boy Records LLC. There were separate claims against that company, and I don't know where all these companies fit in the pantheon of Bad Boy Records, but that company has been dismissed voluntarily from the action. And you'll see that kind of...
However, the mayhem had already broken out. In a frantic attempt to buy time and protect their client from more embarrassment, Jay-Z's attorneys requested a recess. However, Jay-Z was in a downward spiral. He got up and paced the floor, making wild gestures with his hands while trying to talk over commotion with a cracked voice. He lost his normal eloquence. Words poured out raw and broken, exposing a man struggling with the breakdown of his life. And the cameras kept rolling as he broke. In real time, the image of Jay-Z, the cultural icon, the businessman, and the mogul vanished. Instead, the world witnessed fear, vulnerability, and the weighty load of secrets that were eventually brought to light. The fallout spread quickly. When it got out, the crowd outside erupted. Supporters yelled, wept, and quarreled. Some defended him, claiming that his accomplishments were not diminished by the facts. Others denounced him, indignant about the years of denial and the suffering Rymir endured. Social media took off. In a matter of minutes, the paternity test, Rymir, and Jay-Z hashtags took over the world's trending. There were memes. Timelines were overflowing with videos of Jay-Z's breakdown, and the internet was ablaze with shock, discussion, and analysis. Jay-Z sank back into his chair in the courtroom, his body shaking and his head lowered. Reality had arrived. The truth could not be erased by any agreement, persuasion, or dominion. There was no denying the DNA. It was public knowledge. His meticulously cultivated legacy had been completely upended. The ramifications for Beyoncé, his kids, and his empire were profound. How would this affect his marriage, his family, and his reputation as a husband, father, and role model? How would his billion-dollar empire hold up against the fissures that are now visible to everyone? There were countless questions, yet there were no answers in sight. Eventually, the courtroom was empty, but the revelation's weight hung over it like a thundercloud. Long after the others had gone, Jay-Z was still sitting there with his head in his hands. This was the one story he couldn't control, for a man who had always written his own story. And at the end of the day, the truth reverberated more loudly than any lyric, beat, or kingdom he had ever created. The world had heard what the truth had to say. Jay-Z was no longer merely the untouchable figure, the mogul, or the idol. He was a man who had to deal with the fallout from long-kept secrets. This was more than just a legal matter. This was not only a decision. It was time to face up. And it was just the beginning for Jay-Z. Rymir sat motionless across the room, staring at the man who had just been identified as his father. His assertions were rejected as rumors or opportunism, and he had been neglected for years. In the eyes of the world, the truth had now justified him. But there was something deeper in his face than triumph. No test result could ever take away the years of suffering, absence, and uncertainty. With his gavel slamming into the bench, the judge yelled for order, but the mayhem was already overflowing. Desperate to regroup and figure out how to spin the story that was already catching on like wildfire outside the courtroom, Jay-Z's attorneys asked for a break. However, Jay was unable to control his feelings. He sprang up, pacing and shaking his head, his words wavering between incredulity and rage. It was all caught on video. Every movement of his hand, every break in his speech, every hint of fragility that he typically kept hidden. The globe watched as the image of the unstoppable mogul dissolved in real time. The following day's headlines graphically depicted the situation. In a shocking courtroom revelation, Jay-Z was verified as a father. After years of denial, Ree was vindicated. A music mogul has a startling breakdown and loses control. There was no more speculation in the globe. The world now received the solution it had been seeking. It also prevented him from forgetting it. Conversations began in boardrooms, studios, and living rooms all around the world. What impact would this have on his business dealings, reputation, and connections with influential people in the industry? Would he be able to restore the dominance, image, and trust that he'd enjoyed for decades? Or was this the fissure that would destroy the whole empire? It was a bittersweet occasion for Rymir. It hurt to be validated. He recognized himself in the reality, but it also brought back memories of all the years he had missed, the times he'd been away, and the words he had never exchanged with his son. This was more than simply headlines for him. Humanity was at issue here, even if it was hard and unfinished. This was about closure. The days ahead would be the most difficult in Jay-Z's life. His empire, his private life, and his public persona had all been completely upended. He had the option to fight or deny. The truth was out, but he could spin, and the truth would define him in ways he could no longer control, follow him and shadow him. Even though the courthouse was closed that day, the gavel's echoes could still be heard. A titan has been broken.